podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Spanning the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is Subject Cinema's Avengers Endgame MCU Countdown.
We are bringing you Avengers Endgame coverage in style all month long on Subject Cinema's Avengers Endgame MCU Countdown. I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
It is day 2 of our 21-day countdown. And, we're just going to get more and more into this, and Kim's going to get more and more excited as we get closer and closer to Captain America.
I regret nothing.
I know.
I'm a woman. I have needs. Don't judge me.
But today, we're going back to the only changed movie within the universe, because the casting changed on the main character between the film about it and the next appearance, which was in the first team-up movie, The Avengers.
Yes.
Edward Norton in The Incredible Hulk. This movie stands on its own, and it came 4 years after Ang Lee's version didn't do that well.
I believe so, yes.
Ang Lee released Hulk with Eric Bana. Didn't really do that well with critics and
or fans
or
anybody.
You didn't care for it. You saw it. I didn't see it.
I was not impressed, and I hate saying that because I love Ang Lee, I love Eric Bana, and I was just sitting there going, nope.
Now
through the whole thing,
Edward Norton we thought was fine.
We did
in the role, but could he have done it and continued to grow the character the way Mark Ruffalo has within the universe?
To be honest, I don't know.
I don't know either. Norton's not a team player a lot of
times.
No,
not usually.
Everybody that's worked with him.
Nope. And I'm sorry, but when you think about the science bros of Tony and Bruce from the Avengers movies, I can't picture anybody else but Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo. I just can't.
All right, so let's go back as we continue our countdown to July 6th, 2008. And Subject Cinema number 119. We were a young show back then.
Yes, we were.
Edward Norton, Liv Tyler in The Incredible Hulk.
I've been alone for a long time. Not because I want to be, but because until I solve this problem, I have to be.
Your target is a fugitive from the U.S. government who stole military secrets.
This is the location. Snatch and grab only, live capture.
Taken.
Before Kim ended up in the hospital a second time, in between the two shots, we got into the theater to see Edward Norton take on the role of the Incredible Hulk.
Yes. This version of the Hulk, directed by Louis Leterrier, I suppose is how you say it, or Leterrier. I'm not entirely sure. I'm sorry, Louis. Is basically a retread of the television show. You know, they have the whole flashback at the beginning of Bruce Banner's attempt to tap into the hidden strengths within people using gamma radiation, the whole overdose of gamma radiation, the first time he becomes the Hulk, where he wrecks the lab that this is being done in, inadvertently injuring his partner in working on this, Betty Ross, and her father, General Thaddeus Ross, also known as Thunderbolt Ross, and his subsequent bailing out of there and being a fugitive on the run from the government, who basically feel like they own him because they want to get a hold of him to use his blood to generate, like the whole idea of using his blood to make like an army of beings that they can control, these super soldiers, basically, kind of a thing. We find Bruce working at a bottling factory in Rio de Janeiro, which is where he's living right now, trying to stay under the radar of the military. Unfortunately, that doesn't work out because the military, led by a British special ops expert, a Russian-born guy named Emil Blonsky, played by Tim Roth, have found him, and they go chasing after him in one of the most dizzying and fun chase scenes I've ever seen. Bruce winds up running back to the plant where he works. Unfortunately, during that time, he's picked up a bunch of thugs that are chasing after him as well, guys that he works with, that he defended a lady that works with him, and they were mad at him. They corner him, they start beating on him, and Bruce's eyes go through a very interesting change. And from there on in, stuff gets weird. Because Bruce turns big and green and mean, and my first reaction was, hello, gorgeous. Man, I love this character. I have always loved the character of the Hulk. I think that he's just a great character. And the Hulk proceeds to beat the living crap out of everybody. And he's basically, the whole movie is him on the run, him in email contact with this other mysterious person called Mr. Blue in New York.
Unfortunately, it doesn't turn out to be what you might think it would be. We had 2 or 3 different ideas, and it didn't pan out.
This is what happens when you go see movies like this with a comic nerd.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, because this is me. I'm sitting between him.
And don't give anything away.
Okay.
In case you haven't seen it.
Okay. Because I thought it was 2 different Marvel characters,
It's not either one of them. So
it's not one of them, but it turns out that it's someone else, that it could be really interesting for a sequel.
Yeah.
Also during the movie, because they have some of the same stuff that turned Banner into the Hulk, they're going to try it again, because it worked so damn well the first time. The Army decides that they're going to use some of this stuff and create a person of their own to try and stop the Hulk, and Emil Blonsky volunteers for this. That turns out rather badly.
Rather badly. It's a freaking disaster.
Well, yeah, it's that. Because I'm going to want something that looks like Windex injected into me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Needless to say, as TC mentioned, it doesn't work out very well, because Emil's not wrapped too tightly to begin with. And once Emil Blonsky is gone, and the Abomination, who was not referred to as the Abomination in the movie, they felt it would be too comic booky, so they decided not to. They also changed the look of the character, because the Abomination in the comics is more of a kind of a reptilian, humanoid, hybrid, ugly mofo. And in this movie, he's just this guy. He's still very scary looking. He's still a very ugly.
He's hideous.
To rip off a line from Arnold from Predator, "You are one ugly mother beep." He's got these big bony protrusions that he can snap off, and it's really scary and gross. And he's gone after the Hulk. He's also, unfortunately, gone completely around the bend. And there's a lot of fighting and carnage and destruction and mayhem. And oh my God, I love this movie! This movie is what superhero movies are supposed to be.
Now, you didn't like the Hulk that was outdone by Ang Lee with Eric Bana a few years ago.
I didn't. You
liked it better than Stacy did. Stacy didn't like it at all.
Stacy hates that movie. I didn't dislike it as much as a lot of people do. A lot of
comic nerds hate it.
Comic fans dislike that movie. Now that I've seen this version, I don't ever want to see that other version again. Ever. I'm sorry.
It's a Godzilla thing.
No, it's not. No. It's not quite Fluffy the Giant Iguana. It's because this movie leaves that movie in the dust.
It might also be because Eric Bana just sucks. But in any case, I just don't like the guy.
The thing is, this movie is so close in a lot of ways to the TV show, which is something so favored and so treasured from my growing up time. I loved this show when it was on. I loved The Incredible Hulk. I loved the touches that they put in this movie. They used the theme song in a couple of places. You can hear that very sad, haunting music, and it was so beautifully done. The scenes where he's walking alone, and just you can tell the weight of the world is on Bruce Banner's shoulders right now. You would think Edward Norton is channeling Bill Bixby the way he did this. It was so good, and also...
He didn't even come close to channeling Bill Bixby in this movie. I'm sorry. I do not agree with that statement, the same way you don't agree with me about Superman Returns.
I don't mean the acting-wise. I mean just the body language, when those scenes when he's walking alone.
Maybe.
You know, that kind of a thing.
I hated the show, so I really can't say.
Well, you're not fond of the character
no,
either,
I don't
and
like
I
the
am.
Character. I don't like the character. I thought the character... I always hated the character.
I've always loved that character. I think he's terrific. I loved this movie. I thought the cast was fantastic. I really liked the nice touches that were done in this movie to honor the television show. The flashback at the beginning is set up almost exactly like the television show. The use of the music, the use of the fact that there's a scene when he's still in Rio where he's changing the channels on the TV, and the courtship of Eddie's father shows up on TV with the late Bill Bixby. And I was like, yay, that was very cool. There are some great cameos in this movie. Obviously, the obligatory Stan Lee cameo, very good, I like that. And the cameo by Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, which I'd like to know which genius decided to put that in the commercials. Because whoever you are, you ought to be smacked. They should have just left that out. Left it just in the movie. I think putting that in the commercial was so stupid.
It was stupid.
I think that everybody did a fantastic job in this movie. There was nobody that didn't seem to be right for the part. William Hurt was fantastic as General Ross, because you hated him from the second you clapped eyes on him. I did. I couldn't stand him. Liv Tyler, fantastic as Betty. I have to give so much props to Edward Norton, because he was fantastic as Bruce Banner. And I loved the fact that they not only had Lou Ferrigno, who everyone knows was the original TV Hulk, as a security guard at the college in New York, which I thought was very cool. He also did the voice of the Hulk. Yes, folks, the Hulk actually talks in this movie, which was one thing about the Ang Lee film that really bothered me, because the Hulk should talk. I mean,
it should also be pointed out that Ferrigno's security guard character is the same character that was in the Ang Lee movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
It is interesting. I loved this movie. Tim Roth is so slimy. He's such a sleazebag. You can tell that Emil Blonsky is a bad person. You can tell in this movie, especially in the thing in Rio when he shoots the dog with the trank, he likes to hurt things. He likes to be this person. He's the kind of person you could imagine as a kid pulling the wings off of flies and like tearing half the legs off a spider or something like that. That he's just a sick beep, you know. This is a fantastic movie. Like I said, this is what a superhero movie should be. I loved it. What did you think?
As I've said earlier, I've never liked this character. I'm just not a Hulk fan. I've never been a Hulk fan. I was not a big fan of the TV show, although I like Bill Bixby. I've always loved him. But I was more into what was on right before it. Linda Carter and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
There was the presence of Edward Norton.
I think Lou had a bigger chest, though.
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't be surprised. It was the presence of Edward Norton that drew me to this film in the same way that it was Emil Hirsch that drew me into Speed Racer, because otherwise I wouldn't have gone to see a movie like Speed Racer. This film is absolutely brilliant from beginning to end. I love the touch of the theme song, which I always loved. Always loved the music. And the cheer that went up from her when it played. I'm like, oh, wow. Lou Ferrigno was funny as that, as the security guard. Liv Tyler is fantastic. Everybody is just awesome. And I actually enjoyed a Hulk film, which I didn't think I was going to be interested in it. But I ended up thinking, you had actually said you thought it was better than Iron Man.
Yes, I did. I really did.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay,
but it's damn close.
Another thing real quick that I want to bring up that I really liked is a nice touch and a nice tribute. The scene where the whole thing at the pizza place.
I was going to remind you of that too. I'm glad you thought of it yourself.
The character named Stanley, the owner of the pizza place, this kind old man that knows Bruce and wants to help him, which I was like, Stanley. I like that. That's cute. I like that. Space it out if you don't get it, kids. But the thing that I really liked, I found out about, was that the gentleman that voiced the original, way back in the day when they had the Marvel, the Marvel superheroes. If anybody remembers that, it's on YouTube. Check it out. The man that did the voice of Bruce Banner on the Incredible Hulk, the cartoons, is the actor that played Stanley. Which I thought that was so cool. I thought that was
happened in the Speed Racer too.
Yeah, I thought that was such an awesome touch. I thought it was really great. I gave this movie 4 3/4 bouquets.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
So what's your rating?
I absolutely think that this is a movie worth seeing. There was all kinds of problems backstage, according there was debates about what Edward Norton actually wrote. He wrote part of the movie. He redid part of the movie. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of scenes in it that are just hilarious. That he was actually from the original script that he didn't tweak. The thing where he's about to make love to Betty.
To Betty, and the heart monitor pulse thing goes off. I'd never thought of that. I'm thinking about that. I'm like, that would really suck.
He said it was better than Iron Man. I don't agree. I think it was on a par with Iron Man, definitely. And I would actually, thinking about going to see it again. Mm-hmm. The Incredible Hulk gets 4 1/4 stars from me.
Okay.
I thought this movie held up pretty well.
I did too. And I liked the small touches to the original show.
Norton actually wrote most of that in. He didn't like the script as it was written and demanded he had that control in his contract, so he rewrote a lot of it to resemble the Bill Bixby version, which I think works.
Yes, it does.
It
definitely
works better here than it would have. Ali went the other direction, and it didn't do much with it. So. But I don't know. We weren't terribly disappointed either.
We weren't.
As much as we liked Edward Norton, to hear that Mark Ruffalo had been recast as the Hulk.
Especially after we'd seen, The Kids Are All Right, which was a great film.
That's where we first really got to know him and became a fan.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. One thing about this film that definitely sticks out for me is the character of General Ross.
Yeah, he'd be coming back to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, played by William Hurt. General Thunderbolt Ross, who has been a thorn in Bruce Banner's side and an annoyance to the Hulk ever since the comics. I think he really did a fantastic
job. He's one of these military men. Everything's got to go, their way.
Yeah, and he's definitely a prime example of the term Backpfeifengeist. Thank you, Germany.
You finally figured out how to say it.
Yeah.
Yay!
I think I got it hopefully right. If there's anybody out there from Germany, let me know.
And there's certain moments of schadenfreude that come from him, too.
Yes.
Especially in the later movies, like the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, we will head back to Iron Man territory. Mm-hmm. And Iron Man 2... from 2010, as we continue our daily march toward what could be the biggest movie opening ever. I still think they're being conservative. They're saying 200 to 265. I'm betting it's going to top 300 million.
Wow.
We'll see what happens. And it's coming up in just 20 days. Mm-hmm. For Subject Cinema's Avengers Endgame, MCU Countdown, I'm TC Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
We will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.